And we're on.
Hey, hey, Jason, how you doing? It's been how many days? I mean, we
A
did
week.
talk yesterday. No, but we did talk yesterday and the day before, but we didn't record a podcast.
Yeah, it was a small one. And
Yeah,
you've been, I don't know what's been happening with you. You've been showing up at weird times, coming home at
yeah,
weird times at night. So,
yeah. Because I'm staying at Mindo's place until Sunday, or rather until Saturday. So, f- like the commute from my classroom to Mindo's home and back, the commute back and forth. Like one way is 2 hours long. I'm on the train for 2 hours, and when you're going to work, it isn't that bad. But coming back home in the middle of the night, it's just so annoying. So by the time I'm home, I'm beat. I just want to eat and sleep.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And us recording in the middle of the night, I'm like,
yeah. Last week it was okay, right? But this week I've just been, like last week was my first week to spend to be here at Mindo's place, right? So I was
right.
just getting into the flow of things. But this week I feel like, what, if I had to stay here for another month, man, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. I can't.
So the
Like
obvious
just
question
the commute.
is,
The commute is too annoying. It's too annoying, and it's also too expensive.
what was your commute before in Saga?
So from Takeo Onsen Station, like one of the school that you went to cover,
Mm,
to Kanzaki, which I used to live, was 760 yen one way, right?
that's an hour. No, that's like
No, that
under
was
an
around
hour, right?
49 minutes, 49 minutes,
Yeah.
give or take. But right now, from Mindo's place, which is Karatsu, to Takeo, which I'm teaching this week, is 1,310 one way.
1,310. That's like Psyche. That's an hour and 20 minutes at least.
Yeah, I'm on the train for 2 hours, bro, and it's just too annoying. It's really annoying, you
So
know.
similar to Psyche, which is my the farthest away school and also my biggest school, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's usually 1 hour and 20 minutes, but if it's
Mhm.
like there's some local trains that go even longer, and like you
Mhm.
said, there's one that's 1 hour and 46 minutes. There's this one train. I
Mm.
think at three something, very
Mhm.
notorious train. If you get on that
Yeah.
one, oh my god! Like what you said, you're basically in the train almost for like 2 hours, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
like that's why I completely understand what you're saying. That's
It's
that's
really,
basically going to Psyche, man. It's just you just get so tiring.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then imagine you go there, then you have like a big class too, and then everyone's Genki. You're just like, oh god.
Now that just kills everything. It's like I don't do anything else. I just want to come, eat, and sleep. Really.
Pretty
I mean
much, pretty much. Yeah.
that has been my mood for most of this week. That's been my mood. I just want to get home, eat, and sleep. I don't want to have anything to do with anyone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
okay, okay. It's just not anything else.
I mean, it's mostly that, and also kind of the what is it? Should I call it anxiety? Maybe anxiety isn't the word. The expectation of going back to Osaka this weekend. To see my family.
Isn't that a
Yeah.
happy feeling? Aren't you
It's a happy
cheerful?
feeling, but putting all my mental energy into that is kind of making me lose interest in the moment I am living right now. It's making now seem like misery just because I'm expecting too much of the weekend.
So you're
Yeah.
expecting to
Am
be
I making
so
sense?
happy over the weekend.
Yes, yes, yes. So now it seems like hell.
You're saying you can't wait. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. So like now everything else seems like nonsense. Like, ah, fuck. I can't wait to get out of this place. I can't wait to be done with saga. I can't wait to go to Osaka.
I definitely understand what you're talking about. 100%.
Mm.
I am the. Uh, my morale in Pepe has been. My morale in our company has been down. But I guess
Mhm.
it's for almost everyone, right? Because of like what Corona did to many people. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
being stuck indoors, you're not really allowed to go out, and there was that uncertainty, will you be able to keep your job and everything. Then on top of
Mm.
that, we got like loads and loads of makeup lessons, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in our company, what happened was when lessons were cancelled,
Mhm.
lessons aren't really cancelled, right? So they get cancelled on that given day, but they're basically rescheduled for another day, and that's what we
Yeah.
call makeup lessons. And those makeup lessons, because they have to coincide with normal lessons. So basically, you have your normal lessons and then the cancelled classes. So those cancelled classes become the makeup lessons. You have to do both the normal lessons and the makeup lessons. So you have to find a way to squeeze it in your schedule.
Yep.
And what happened was that people were doing 7-day weeks, 7-day work weeks, which is not supposed to be allowed, And
Well, actually, I did read about this on the Japanese. I was reading what Japanese labor laws, and it says that your company can request the local city government to allow the workers to work for at least 8 days in a row.
how many times can you do that? Really?
I don't know. I didn't check. I didn't read any further than that. So because I was wondering, like, the way because I think with Peppy, what they do is they don't just put a makeup lesson on a Sunday. They ask you, right?
Yeah, they did ask you. They do ask you,
Yeah,
specifically with weekends, right? They do ask
yes,
you.
yeah,
Like,
they have to ask you. Like, not only on weekends, even like if you have like a day off in the middle of the week, they can't just put a lesson there. They have to ask you first. Yeah, so I think if they give you 7 days, that means you said yes. So they have no.
You would
like,
think
no
so.
impose on them.
You would
Yeah.
think so. Some people were
Yeah, I
just
mean-
given like 6-7 days straight up because there's just nothing else you can do. There's no other way to fit it into their schedules. And then you, because
don't know
it's
about
Corona, you don't want to lose your job, right? You're just like, okay, I can't even say no, can I? Right? Yeah.
I mean, but you can, because I was always asked, would you want to work on Sunday? I always said no. I just said no.
I said the same thing, but then both my JT and my PS were just like, Jason, you got to do it. There's no other way. There's like literally, unless you want to work, unless you want this makeup lesson like 4 or 5 months down the line, and then at that point it'll just be you who hasn't done the makeup lessons and stuff like that. So it was just like, okay, but you're right. So in the end, you do have to accept it. And I chose to be like a team player basically, and I just went like, okay, it's fine. It's one weekend. I'll get like 2 off days. That was like my reward. I'll get 2 off days on the following week or something. So it's fine.
Yeah, actually, I haven't worked a Sunday in a while. I don't. Maybe last year was the last time I worked a Sunday. That was
Last year?
Yeah, maybe because the reason I worked on a Sunday was because I went to. It wasn't really working. It was like helping, going to observe an English debate for the high school kids. It wasn't really working. I was just observing,
You're talking about the debate event?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
That
was the last time? Man, you're
Yeah.
just cruising. All of your schools have JTs? Have Japanese
No,
people?
they don't. Not all of my schools have JTs.
Hmm.
But I told you, like, okay, so with the makeup lesson, what I will do is I will ask the JTs. I don't do it on Sunday, but you can set them up before or after my lessons on regular teaching days.
And what happened?
And it worked out. Like, I was like, maybe if I have 3 classes, I'll have like 1 makeup lesson before the 3 classes begin. So instead of 3 classes, I have 4 classes in a day.
I did that
And
for
there's
like 1 or 2 schools.
And there's one time I went to an extreme case where I told a JT, just put 6 classes on that day. Just put 6 classes.
Because
I wanted to be done. I wanted to be done with them.
You didn't want to work on the weekend or anything like that,
Yeah.
right?
And the JT was cool. She actually just put 6 classes. I mean, it was really exhausting, but it was worth it, because after I finished those 6 classes, I was done with my makeup lessons. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I guess you are definitely in the people who are like one of the better off people when it came to that period. Because I know a lot of other people who were like suffering. Even I wasn't doing that bad, honestly. There was just like 1 month, which was really, really tough, because both of my biggest schools had makeup lessons. And I was doing exactly what you were doing. I was basically working even earlier. So I was doing 2 or 1 lessons before like the average day started. And what happened was that like I was starting at like 2:30 or 3:45 for almost the entire week. I was like, damn, man, it was a little bit tough. Like, again, big school, so it was like But then we got through it somehow. I think if people decide to get through things, I think human beings, like if human beings just decide that they're gonna get through like something, they will get through it. I,
Yeah, for sure.
I genuinely believe like the human spirit is like a lot more stronger than most of us can even imagine.
Of course it is. I mean, if you have people like Goggins, you have people like just a regular athlete. It doesn't take weakness to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of these people, athletes, can accomplish the feats that you and I can only dream of, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they can do it means that you and I have the power to do it also.
Mm-hmm.
But we lack the discipline, you know. We lack the
Discipline.
resolve to do those things, you know.
Very much discipline and
Yeah.
resolve, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's
Yeah, so
been.
like,
I've been
Mhm.
missing workout days. Quite a bit this month, and it's been mostly because I want to leave Oita. I want to go do something else. Honestly, I
What do
think
you mean
it's
something
more
else?
of like maybe I'm tired of my room, you know.
Okay. You just need a change of space, right?
Yeah, yeah. I just want to
Oh,
go do
I get that.
something, man. Like
Yeah.
that's why even when going to like some of my classes, I was literally doing the bare minimum. My morale was like really low, man. I was just
Mhm.
like, just the holiday come. I want to go like do karaoke. I want to do something, man. I just want to do something, just not this.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
I don't know if I told you, was this the last episode or maybe it was one of our calls? It was literally
Mhm.
just like work, home, work, home, work, home,
Yeah.
work, home. I've not been going out, so work, home, and like the very few times I do go out, like an NT wants to like go get a coffee or go get some lunch or something like that, I'm like, oh, I feel like I can breathe for like a moment, you know.
Mm.
And I'm like, probably a lot of people who are like still going through like national lockdowns during this corona phase
Wait.
are
In
experiencing
Japan?
similar things. Not in Japan, like in the whole world.
Oh, okay.
There's other people
Okay.
experiencing similar things.
Yeah.
So we gotta find a way, man. We will find a way. We'll always find a way. Anyway, the holidays right here, and I'm much better now.
Just
You know.
starting on next week, right? We're
Yes.
good. Literally, like, tomorrow is my last day of teaching. You don't know how happy that makes me. That makes me so happy.
Mine is the 23rd, man.
Jesus.
It was funny because my PS was making a joke with us about how like, oh, you know, there's one poor person, one poor soul who's gonna be working on the 23rd, literally the last day before, like, you know, everyone's released for the holiday, right? The last possible day you can work in the company. And I was laughing. I was like, oh, that poor bastard. turns out it was me. And I was just like, I was just telling my PS, he tricked me. He baited me on that one. He was like, no, I didn't know it. Even I didn't know who it was. And I was just like, he's a liar. It's fine. It's fine because it's 2 lessons in one of my favorite schools. It's one of my favorite days in one of my schools, so I don't mind. I'm literally just gonna go there and play. And it's Christmas lessons, so it's like you're just playing games, man. As long as they're able to say what this is and what that is, you know, this is a present. You're done. You're done, man. You're done. This is Santa Claus. Brilliant. And then obviously, like, just the card. That's it. Christmas card. Did you see about this? You know, Hungary. Have you been following Hungary at all? Hungary has been like pushing hard on anti-homosexual laws and regulation. Yeah, Hungary.
I know. The only thing I know about Eastern Europe is Mindro is from Lithuania. That's it.
Wait, you know nothing else?
No, I just know the basic stuff. Like, man, no, like, here's the thing. I'm gonna be straightforward with you, Mindro. Sorry, Jason. I don't take time to look at international news. I don't care that much. I really don't care that much, man. I just care about my life and the things happening around me. I don't want to. Knowing things about Hungary is just occupying space that I need for myself, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
Go on to the story. Maybe
no, I thought it was a really funny story, right? Like, it's this anti-gay Hungarian politician. He was like super. He was pushing, like, he was hard pushing this agenda of like, he wasn't straight up saying like homosexual people shouldn't be allowed to do this, and that. Basically, just taking some of their rights straight up.
Mm-hmm.
But he was insinuating a lot of things, and he was pushing laws that would essentially take away a lot of their rights, like marrying and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was like almost 2 weeks ago, he was caught in a 25-man orgy
What?
by the police. And like he was literally caught trying to jump through the window.
Holy, like it's like a meme, right? Whenever someone is so anti-gay, they always turn out to be the gay person, right?
and, and you know what's funny? The party itself, literally, like he forced him to resign, obviously, right?
Yeah,
And said
yeah.
that he has to settle personal issues. That's it. And both him and the
Yeah.
party have refused to comment on it at all. It's so funny.
Jesus.
Oh my
Jesus.
god.
Why does that happen? Like the people who are
25
so
man.
strongly anti-gay are always gay.
25-man orgy. Jesus.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
25
Yeah,
people. Like, how does that work, by the way?
That's a long fucking train. That's a long fucking train.
Yeah. It's like, how do people even set this shit up? Like, how how does this work online? I just don't know.
No,
Like, I'm trying to understand the
what's up
logistics, you know?
What's up, group? What's up, group? Like, keep adding people. Like, hey, Jason, you're doing this thing. Oh, do you know someone else who I don't join? Oh, I know someone.
So, and then do you guys like vote on a place? What does happen? Who provides food? Because you gotta be food if you're 25 people there, right?
No. I guess you have to the agreement is eat before you come. Eat before you come.
No, what 25? Okay, if 25 people are going to do it, right? It's probably going to be for a few hours, like realistically, right? So you gotta have some snacks or something to hydrate yourself. No, it's
just have water, man. Just when you have sex, do you pause to go and have a snack?
okay. You wanna be? Sometimes you can be eating while you're, enjoying
Really?
the activities.
You keep only having sex, Jason?
I've tried it once. You're
a fiend. You're a fiend.
I tried it once. It was chocolate. It wasn't like we're eating fruits and stuff like that. But
Fuck no, I can't eat one of having sex, man. Choose one. I choose one vice, one at a time.
I was like you, but she said you should try it. It's a new experience, and I'm just a open-minded person, so I was trying it, and it wasn't that bad, man.
Well, whoever this girl was, I'm gonna straight up call her a glutton. That's what I'm gonna do.
Anyway, it wasn't like we're having full-on sex. It was more of like we're playing around with each other, not like, yeah.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't go that far. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Eating and sex. That's fucked up.
What do you mean? But people have been mixing out of all the fetishes, right? Isn't that one like one of the more like understandable ones?
Nope.
Are you joking, Oscar? You must be. I know you're trolling, man. Like how? There's some really weird ones like feet and like I don't know ears and like.
But all those things, right? The goal of all of those things is sexual excitement, but like eating and sex, it's like sexual excitement plus what?
So it's one of the most satisfying, two of the most satisfying feelings, right? You're mixing sex with like the fulfillment of like quenching your appetite, So like
I will say that other than sex, the most satisfying feeling is taking a really good shit.
Okay, that is number.
Then think about this. I will imagine I see why there are some people, and this is a very extreme fetish where people shit on other people during sex.
Yeah.
Now that, despite it being very disgusting, I can see the pleasure in that. I can kind of understand the pleasure of that.
This is how I know you're trolling. Like you can see the pleasure in that, but you can't see the pleasure of like eating, like having like maybe ice cream or playing around with like chocolate and stuff like that. You can't see the pleasure in mixing that kind of food.
No, I don't understand the pleasure of eating and sex. I don't feel to feel something. No, I don't get it. I really don't. But this is just my opinion. It's not a fact. Just my opinion, right? And even the thing
it's a really fucking weird one. It's a really fucking weird opinion, dude.
Even the thing with taking a shit, I'm not saying it's good. I agree. It's disgusting, right? However, I understand why someone will find that pleasurable. Because I know when I really want to take a shit and how good that feels.
Okay.
Yeah, then combine that with sex, I imagine it's gonna be even better.
So
Because I don't think that should be
I'd
seen
say
that
the
way.
same thing to you, right?
Mhm.
Ignoring, I think it's still a very weird opinion, but okay.
Mm.
Look, it's like, one of the best feelings is when you're hungry and you eat a very good meal. And
Mhm.
you combine that feeling while you're having sex or you're being pleasured sexually, and then bam, you get this like
Nah,
this
nah.
orgasmic experience.
Okay, not for me then. Not for me.
It's
Not
not
for
for
me. I
you.
don't try that. Yeah, I don't try that, man.
Yeah, you just want
Yeah,
your
even,
girls.
even the shitty thing, I don't try. I don't try. I can just imagine why someone will enjoy that. I just don't try it though. I'm not willing to go that far,
Uh,
but I can imagine why someone will do that.
so you brought up. Okay, so here's the thing. Where do you think a lot of these fetishes are born? You think it's purely because people are just trying to like? It's the search for new excitement, new horizons
Yeah, I mean, like,
in the sexual
you know,
landscape.
yeah. For I don't know where fetishes come from, but I understand sexual curiosity, right? You're with one person for several years. You can only, missionary is only gonna be fun for so long, right? You have to do something else.
Mm.
So if you're in a couple, you're dating or you're married, you're definitely going to try to push the boundaries further and further, right?
Mm.
I know so because I will do that. Just keep it pushing it further and further, right?
Mm.
But when it comes to fetishes, I don't understand. Is it a mental thing, a psychological thing? I don't know where fetishes begin.
Mm.
Do they begin in childhood, or is it just watching porn when you're an adult and something snaps? I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah.
And where does it start? It's funny because I have a story for you, by
Mhm.
the way,
Mhm.
but I want to hear some of the stories that you've probably seen, or some of the stories you've heard.
Mhm.
Mostly because like I've seen some of these Japanese kids, right? They
Mhm.
already have some of that curiosity when it comes to like maybe not sex but nakedness and like the opposite of sex, even from a very young age. Like
Mhm.
there was a girl specifically, right, who
Mhm.
was like she was touching this other boy,
Mhm.
right? And she
Mhm.
was basically feeling up. This is like, what level was this? This was like yellow, right? And I'm just like, I stopped them basically, right?
Mhm.
And then she later on in the lesson, she was like, "Oh, sensei no chin chin, sensei no chin chin," when she was just like, pointing at my penis and stuff like that, right? And I'm
Mhm.
just like, how does she know these things? I was looking at her, and it wasn't like she was doing it from like because she was
I
trying
mean,
to
come
be
on.
bad, right? She was doing it
There's
because it
no
seemed like she was genuinely curious.
no. It's not. There's nothing to be curious about. Like, come on. Like, this in Japan, kids shower with take a bath with their parents for many years, right? So of course
Oh, they
she's
do?
seen penis before. Yeah, of course she's probably taking a bath with her dad. She's probably seen the dad's penis. So of course it's not curious. That's like she knows my father has a penis there, so I assume every other man has a penis over there too.
Wait, let's walk this back for a second. Wait. So
Yeah.
how long do they shower with the parents for?
I don't know, but I've heard people say as far as 10 years, 12 years. Just take
Whoa,
yeah,
really?
yeah, just take a bath. It's like that bath time is also family time. It's not just it's family time. It's family time. It's different cultures, man. Whereby in Kenya, maybe seeing your parents naked for some cultures in Kenya will be
I think it's it.
impolite,
I think even
disrespectful, right?
even in like the West or in Kenya, it was okay up until like maybe like what 8, 9. Then it starts getting weird. Then
Yeah, but in Japan, like, yeah, it's different cultures, man. They're looking. Every culture is looking at the universe through different lenses, right?
mm,
And in Japan, they shower together. Sort of take a bath together, which is, hey, it's normal. It's normal.
mm,
Nothing odd about that,
mm,
right? But like, yeah, like for instance, maybe when we will go to visit when Yumiko before we had a kid,
mhm.
we'll go to visit her family, and Yumiko will go and sometimes Yumiko will go and take a bath with her sister. Now, the first time I heard about that, I was like, whoa, that's weird. Taking a bath with your sister, because they're both women, they're all young girls. But then, like, after I lived here longer, I came to understand. Okay, it's just the culture. People do that.
No, that's still in my mind. That's still okay for some reason.
I mean, like, will you take a bath with your brother?
No, but if we had to,
Exactly.
it wouldn't have been the end of the world, really.
Yeah, but it's not something And to like, if you see your brother after a couple of months, oh, let's go and take a bath together, right? You don't want to be the first thing come to your head.
Fair enough. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but in
Yes.
Japan, it's just something they do. It's like maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just it's family time, but also imagine it's to reduce the amount of water
It
being used.
it comes from the ocean. Ocean's like the period where they're all using ocean. The public baths, right?
Yeah.
Public baths were a lot more like back in the day. Let's just say pre-modern Japan, right? The use of public baths was pretty normal, right? So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
like people were just used to showering with each other, showering with families and stuff like that,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm.
Within the same genders and stuff, and even now.
Yeah.
But up until 10, that's interesting, you know.
Mm.
Because
That's why.
Japan has been westernized, right? So it's like it's interesting to see how far.
Here's the thing: Japan has only been westernized from an outward point of view. I mean, they wear suits.
They've
They
been
wear
pretty
monkeys.
westernized, Oscar. You have to admit,
No,
like they've been
no.
pretty westernized.
Jason, I guarantee you, Kenya is more westernized than Japan. Kenya is much, much more westernized than Japan.
Kenya is different. Kenya was colonized.
True, but that also means we're more westernized than Japan.
Yes,
That's what it means. Yeah.
I'm like you can compare
Japan-
colonized nations. Japan wasn't really like colonized.
Yeah,
They
and
sort
that's
of
why
there was a push. There was like this was during like the end of the samurai when they realized they had to modernize, right? And that's when they were forced to open up the nation, and a lot of Western influence came at that time.
When is this?
This was like at least the late 1800s. I'm pretty sure. Was it
That
the late
was
1700s?
before Meiji, when the Captain Matthew Calbraith Perry went to Hakodate in Hokkaido.
When was the
and
end of the
threatened
samurai?
he threatened to bomb the port if Japan didn't open up.
Yes. Yeah. Late 1800s. Late 1800s.
Yeah.
They had to change, and at that point, samurais weren't really like the warrior class. They were more like of what? There was no one to fight. Basically, they weren't like warriors. They were more of like they've become like their own economic class, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They were still doing samurais, but the samurai traditions that they were still like practicing as a samurai warrior, but it had become more traditional than actual practical. Because Japan wasn't facing anyone at that time, and then that's when they quickly realized, like what you said, they were forced to open because they knew that they couldn't fight the Americans, which they still had a war eventually. By the way, that was a weird one. There was a coalition of, I think, if I remember correctly, American and other European countries that came to like sort of like blockade Japan, and Japan had to be forced to open up. And you can imagine how annoyed they got because of that. They got really pissed off.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I think that Japan isn't Western. Like, here's the thing with Japan. Japan is the guy with a six-pack but smokes every day. Do you understand what I'm saying? Outwardly, it's a very Western country, but if you come and live here, it's not Western at all. The way they think, the things they watch, and the music they listen to. No, this country is not Western.
I would definitely say that at the core they haven't been Westernized, but
No,
they
they
have adopted a lot of Western ideas.
I mean, like, of course, it's the democratic country, right? That's a Western idea.
Yeah, it is.
Like everything.
The emperor is still there, and the royal family is still there, but like no one really. They're more like figureheads, ceremonial, cultural type thing, rather than them actually having power, right?
Yeah, I mean, but they do have power. They have social power. They don't have.
And they have money, lots of money.
Yes, and have money, which is also that's also power in its own right.
Yeah,
but still, so Japan isn't. Kenya is much more Western than Japan. 100%.
I agree with that. I agree with you 100%. Kenya is like the capitalist capital of East Africa, maybe even the whole of Africa, man. Kenyans are straight hustlers. That's the one thing I completely like. If only we could use that pure entrepreneurial spirit and push more positive things, because I feel like that entrepreneurial spirit nowadays, it's like rogue. Like people just take any opportunity left, right, and center just to make
Yeah,
money.
everyone is just eating.
And it's like I know you're not supposed to really judge how people put money on the table, especially when it comes to like important things. Money for like, don't judge how people make their dues, because that's just how they have to do whatever they have to do to survive. But
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to judge them. There's a limit to that, like for example, did you see the BBC documentary of the baby stealers?
The baby stealers?
Yeah,
No, I haven't seen this.
apparently this has been it's been ramping up in recent years, but it's been like an underground, almost like a black market business in Nairobi and some of the other like big cities where babies are stolen from hospitals. Babies are stolen from like homeless people on the streets.
And then what happens? What do they
They go to clinics and they sell them. They sell them to other people who are
childless?
They don't want to go through orphanages. They don't want to pay those fees, or couples that are barren.
Jesus.
And it's like it's such a deep business that when you get the baby, you get a fake birth certificate with it, and you can change the baby's name and everything, and that will legit be a baby. Like you have like actual you have hospital people, you have local governments and administrative people in on it too. And like when you watch the documentary, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like it's an actual business. This is a full system, like from beginning to the end. Like this cuts from the top till the bottom. You have people, everyone's in on it. And then you have stories of like a woman whose baby was stolen live from which hospital was it? What's the biggest hospital in Nairobi again?
Kenyatta Hospital.
Yeah, like her baby was stolen from Kenyatta Hospital, like a day after she gave birth.
Jesus.
And the baby, like, it still has never been found. It's just the baby's just gone. And I'm just like, this obviously is like, no one knows about these stories, right? That's why it's like becoming a big thing now. But can you imagine just one day after your kid is born, the hospital just says, sorry, we lost your baby. What?
Yeah. Someone has to die. Someone has to die.
Right? I'm just like, at the father at that point, you literally just go buy a gun. And you're like...
Yeah. Someone has to die, man.
Someone has to die.
The nurse or the doctor, someone's dying. Someone's dying.
Someone is dying.
Someone has to pay for this. Like, no, you're not be like, oh, we lost your baby, sorry.
And that's like the thing. Like, Kenyans are so good at finding opportunities and capitalizing on opportunities, but like, often than not, we don't want to draw the line, or we don't know where to draw the line, Like another thing was like, have you seen there's another documentary, the Corona Billionaires?
You sent me the link, but as soon as you sent me the link, I think the Kenyan government took the documentary off of YouTube, so I couldn't find it anymore. It's gone.
But people, don't worry, I'll send you another. People have made copies of that documentary.
Okay.
There's a lot of like other links. So basically, we were donated a lot of masks, right, from a lot of different countries, mostly from China, and I think there was the UN. I'm not too sure about that one, but China definitely gave us a lot of masks, right? The masks were brought in to Jomo Kenyatta Airport, and the government is supposed to transport that to a specific health institution. I forgot the main health institution. The health institution has basically like a contract with the government. They will sell these. They will distribute, not sell. They will distribute these masks on the behalf of the government, and they will distribute it to hospitals, private hospitals, and make deals based on. They'll make deals and make profits on the behalf of the government, right?
Okay.
We're talking about and I'm talking about millions of masks, legit. This is like the beginning of the lockdown, or like it's moving towards the lockdown of, Kenya. So this is like a very, very like sensitive period, and people want masks, basically, right? There's a need for it. What happens is that during that period, all of the masks disappeared when they were transporting it from the airport to the warehousing, right?
Yep.
No one sees anything, supposedly,
Uh-huh.
and these masks end up
Mhm.
in other private vendors, like multiple private vendors,
Uh-huh.
and then they sell they sell those very same masks that were
Uh-huh.
donated back to the health institution that has a contract with the government at like triple the price, and then they are free to go and sell it to other like hospitals.
Jeez.
And then those private vendors that got like the donated masks and resold it back to the government, basically,
Mhm.
those guys made millions. They made millions. And the whole documentary was just trying to see how deep this went, because it was just like, how many people can actually like steal like government property like that, you know? Because again, these are donated masks that were basically for the nation. How many people can
Yeah.
actually do that, right? It's like
Yeah.
you must be dealing with some very, very well rooted people, you know,
Yeah.
people with some deep ties here.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can steal it and then resell it back to the government at double, triple the price, because the government, Kenya hasn't planned at that point, right? So the need for the masks was like, there was a huge need. Like everyone wanted masks. So the government didn't have time to investigate this properly. The government, the side of the government that actually wants to investigate, can't, right? So it's like, okay, fine, we just make a deal real quick and we'll buy back all of the masks.
Yeah.
So it basically was like a huge heist pulled with donated masks. And it worked. And that was just the first time that happened. There was other things that were donated too that it happened. The machines that you need in the hospital so that people can breathe properly if their lungs have collapsed.
Yeah.
It happened with that too. And like, I'm like, literally, it's like, you're like, you're reading these stories, Oscar, and as a fellow Kenyan, you're just like, look, I understand you need to make money, but Jesus, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, if this isn't the point we come together as a country, when will it be? Like, you want the country to like literally burn? I don't know. I keep
saying the same thing, man. I keep saying the same thing. Kenya and most other African nations were just not meant to be. They were just not meant to be. We should have been left as just tribes scattered across the continent, living within our own tribal groups, dealing with our own gods, our own religions, our own culture. But this thing of talking about Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, that thing, it's a lie. I don't think it will ever work out. It will never work out. It will never work out. Never.
So you've basically closed the book on our nation. You're saying like this nation will just be in this weird perpetual state of mediocrity.
Maybe not forever, but it's not going to change anytime soon. I promise you that.
I believe when young people, when our generation is old enough to take over, things will get a little bit better.
You think so?
A little bit better, yeah. I think so.
I've talked to people who are our age, man, and there were some people, the way they talk, it's the same way my father will talk, man. The same way my uncle will talk.
People from that generation, same sort of rhetoric and stuff.
Yeah, like I've met people who are our age who will talk like those older people, right? Man, I'm telling you, this thing we call tribalism in Kenya, that thing is implanted into people's minds. You know, the lucky thing about you and I is that we were born into families whereby both our parents came from two different tribes, right? So there was almost no room for tribalism to exist in that atmosphere, right?
Oh yeah, you are right.
Even if it raises its ugly head, it could be weeded out very quickly, right? Because whatever one parent might say about one tribe, the other parent might be there to counter that point very quickly because of whatever, for whatever reason, right? They can do that. But if you come from a family whereby both your parents are one tribe and they keep saying something negative about other tribes, as a kid growing up, listen to all of that. What choice do you have but to simply accept? You know?
You are right. I never thought about that. You know, even a lot of my friends. How many of my friends actually have that intertribal marriage? Like their parents are from the same
tribe? Very few. It's not as many as people think.
Yeah.
It's a few, man. It's few.
And what does that do to like the dynamics of the family? Like you said, the family politics. You're right. That must change everything. That must be so different.
Like, I remember like in 2013, I believe. Yeah, 2013 when we had the elections in Kenya, right? You and I were still part of the softball team, right, in the university.
This is 20. You said 2012.
2013.
This is when what's his name was running for his first term, right?
Yeah, Uhuru.
Yeah.
And like, what happened is, I remember talking to one of our teammates who said he wanted to vote for Raila, who was the opposition party leader, right?
Was this Tambo?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, good. You remember, right?
Yeah.
And I was having this discussion with Tambo, and in the middle of the discussion, I realized there's no way, because I wasn't having this argument because I knew I didn't want to vote, and to this day I still don't want to vote. But I remember telling Tambo everything, because we were kids in university, you know, first, second year, right? I told Tambo everything, whatever reason you think that Raila is the right leader is because your parents are also voting for Raila, right? I just asked him, your parents are voting for Raila, right? And he said yes. And I said, exactly. That's why you want to vote for him too. Because that's the way you've been raised to think.
Which...
And yeah, he had to agree. Because people our age, at least when you're 17, 18, 19, you're not reading like party charters. You're not looking at all the like the laws they want to change, all the, you know, you're not looking at their manifestos, right? You're just hearing bits and pieces in the news and what other people are saying, right?
A normal 18-year-old wouldn't be looking at that.
Exactly. And you're 18, it's your first time to vote, you're excited, you want to vote. But instead of actually going to do the research, you're just hearing what your parents are saying, what your friends are saying, right? You're not doing any actual research on the ground. You're not even looking at the government's, the party's website, right? And then you're going to say so strongly from the bottom of your heart, I'm going to vote for Raila, I'm going to vote. I'm like, dude, do you know why you're making that choice? Do you actually know why? And it's like, for people that age, it's like, I'm sure your parents are voting for the same guy. I'm sure. And I was always right. Yeah, I was always right. So I'm telling you, Jason, like, Kenya won't change, bro. Kenya won't change unless everyone is forced to have an inter-tribal marriage, you know? Like, it's part of the constitution now. You can't marry from your own tribe.
I think that's common. That's like a common occurrence in the big cities, you know. I think it's when you go to the local villages, that's where people are like.
Yeah, in the local village, it's impossible. Of course, it's impossible.
Yeah. And that's where like a lot of the stereotypes are still like the really harmful ones are still perpetuated, you know.
Yeah.
Because in the city, like what you're saying, basically it's like a lot of big cities, it becomes a mixing pot. Different cultures, different people, you know, like Nairobi and Mombasa.
And like, think about this, right? I remember in 2007 when Uhuru and Raila were part of the same team, right? The same party, right?
Was this
at that time
ODM?
ODM, yeah, when both Uhuru and Raila were in ODM. At that time, it seemed for the first time in Kenyan history, Kikuyu, the tribe Kikuyu, and the tribe Luos were finally going to work things out, because they're both of their supreme leaders, their supreme gods, their demigods, decide to become friends, you know.
You know, you brought up an interesting point. What is up with? It's not just Kenya though. It's like a lot of third world countries that just elevates their politicians to like.
Yeah, they're demigods.
Demigod status. Like, this guy is like Jesus. He's come to save everyone, you know? It's like we put all of our hopes and dreams into this one person, as if, you know, like I said, they're like Jesus. They've come. They're like the messenger of God, here to save us from our plague, from our plight.
Because we have, as Africans, not say Africans, I will say the contemporary African man has no identity. Our identity, just like the Native Americans, was stolen by our colonizers. So now we have no idea of what we are supposed to, how we are supposed to be. Whatever we believe we're supposed to be is just bits and pieces of, it's just information. What should I put it? It's like there's a book, right? There's a book. The book is an explanation of how an African should be, right? But what the modern African man has is just like one paragraph from the book, because the rest was burned up by the colonizers, and we think this one paragraph this should show us exactly how to live. Because, like, think about this: all of our written text was taken away and burned by the Europeans. Our religions was called devil worship and black magic. It's so bad that right now in Africa, in Kenya, if you actually believe in our ancient gods, people tell you that's bad. Don't do that. We are Christians. How crazy is that?
Yes.
How crazy is
You know, I actually got so tilted. This is an argument I had like a year and a half ago with my cousin. He's like, because we're having this random conversation and like something, I don't know, some specific moral issue came. We're having like a argument about morals, right?
Mhm.
And then he says like, but you know, we can't do this in our country because Kenya is a Christian country. And I was just like so tilted by that. I was just like, bro, Christianity has only been in our fucking nation for at least 80 to 100 years. 100 years ago, our ancestors, our family were in huts. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you really understand that? Do you really think about this? Think about that for a second, you know?
Yeah.
Literally, this religion is like, it's literally the same, like our great grandfather's older than this religion being in Kenya, has been around longer. Just think about that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's we're so well indoctrinated, you know?
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, there's no African identity, bro. It's gone. It's gone. We are fighting with ourselves. Our core has been taken away from us. And it's not just us, man. Like I say, it's many people. It's the Native Americans. I think it's even who else? Maybe even Chinese to some degree. Man, it's everyone. It's everyone. It's everyone. The only people who've kept their thing is maybe
Europeans,
the Scandinavians, the Europeans. You know, those are the only people who have kept their thing, because everything that is in the world right now started there. You know.
Europeans, Americans are able to create their identities from scratch with very little trouble, I would say.
No, but they're not creating the identity from scratch, because Americans like to they hold their ancestry to such high regard, whereby they say, "Oh, my name is such and such, and I have German French ancestry." You know?
Huh? What? Which Americans are doing that?
Yeah, they talk about their ancestry. They hold it such high regard.
Really?
Yeah, they do. Americans and even Canadians, they hold their ancestry such high regard.
I've seen that with Canadians, but with Americans, it's just like, bro, I'm fucking American. You can't talk to me like this. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
that whole
okay.
thing, you know?
Okay. In that sense, the Americans have the right to do that because their nation is the most powerful nation in history. So it makes sense for them to do that, right?
Yeah, they came out and
They're number one, you know. They're number one.
So they created their own identity. I said that because specifically when they first broke away from the British, right?
Mhm.
That was like really that civil war, or rather that war with the British, was what was that war called?
The War of Independence.
Yeah, the War of Independence. I'm looking for another word, but anyway, the War of Independence. That war was like the fight to determine the soul of, like the what would be the American identity moving forward, right? Because you had people who were still supporting the British royalty, right? The British crown, the loyalists, right? And then you had the separatists who are like revolutionists, the people who wanted America to be independent and America to like, they basically no longer saw themselves as British citizens at that point. They saw themselves as a very much separate nation, even though America was a British colony, right? So yeah, if the loyalists had won, then you know America would probably still have like British English, would like be drinking tea and stuff like that. We all know about like the tea that was like what's this, the bombing at Boston?
The Tea Party.
Yeah, the tea party. That fire that was caused as a protest. So stuff like that, you know. So like again, so we all know like the loyalists lost, the British were kicked out, and America, they forged their own path. They had to create their own identity from scratch, right? They were no longer British. They were no longer like allowed to use that line of that line, like that line of what? What's the word here?
I don't know.
Anyway, point is, they weren't allowed to like be British people anymore, so they had to become something else.
Yeah.
And how many countries actually have gone through that sort of like metamorphosis, that change, where it's like they're forced.
Maybe someone can tell me. Someone could, of course, tell me if I'm wrong, right? But I do believe this. In Kenya, we have our history books say that Kenyans fought for the independence,
Man, that
which is
one.
true. Kenyans did fight
The
to
Mau
try to gain
people, the
independence.
Mau
The Mau
rebels.
fought.
Yeah.
However, our independence was given to us. We did not take it.
It was like a deal. It was made.
A deal.
Yes, it was made of a deal.
It was like, hey, we're going to let you guys rule yourselves, but we want that land for 999 years.
And British people who choose to stay can stay.
Yes, exactly. So we were. It was like there's no such thing as we took our independence. No. We were given. We made a deal and we were given. Well, so it's like that's why, like, we have British troops in Kenya, right? We can't chase them out. They're there.
Mm-hmm.
So we speak British English.
Yes.
Right? We study everything in Kenya, like science, history, geography, chemistry. We study all of that in English, not in Swahili, not in Kikuyu, not in Luo, not in Kalenjin. It's all in English.
What are our official languages?
The only other time we speak Kiswahili is during Kiswahili class. How fucked up is that?
You do have a good point. Like, you hear Kiswahili a lot outside of school, but when you enter school, it's like a British English bubble, if that makes sense.
Let me even ask you as a simple question. What's chemistry? How do you say chemistry in Kiswahili?
I don't know.
Neither do I. How do you say vitamins in Kiswahili?
I don't know.
Neither do I. But this is supposed to be my first language. I can't write a book in Kiswahili, man. I can't write a book in Kiswahili. Man, I watched some Kiswahili movies and I'm pretty sure I understand Japanese movies a bit better than that.
Oh yeah. I've basically reached that point too. It's just like my Japanese is like starting to edge a bit better than my Kiswahili. And it's like I can't even admit this to my parents because I know, oh my god, the words, the word beating I would get from them, the verbal beating I would get from them.
But it's like, is it your fault really? Is it really your fault? Or is it the society you grew up in?
You know what's funny? We had this conversation with another coworker.
Yeah.
She's from Ireland, right?
Mm-hmm.
But her family is from Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't speak the language.
Mm-hmm.
So every time she tries talking with her family,
mm-hmm.
there's that awkwardness. She can't communicate properly. And sometimes she gets made fun of by her cousins. Saying that she's she's like that British person, stuff like that. She's not British, but she's trying to be like a European, is what they try to make fun of her because she can speak good English. And I'm just like, bro, that was pretty much me in a lot of situations, even back home. Even when trying to talk with my great grandparents, which was like they barely even understood Kiswahili. So now communication was basically almost impossible.
Yeah.
And it just always felt horrible. It always felt like you've lost. There's a part of you that you will never understand. Even though it's supposed to be there, like, it's not. And you don't really know what you can and can't do, right? To, like, get it back. And it's not just us, right? Like, it's a lot of, it's not just, like, the two of us is what I mean. It's, like, there's a lot of people in our generation, right? It's, like, they've almost been left hanging, right? Like what you said, because they've been so well indoctrinated in this, like, Western norms, Western language, Western system. There's been a slight what? It's like they've been cut away from their roots.
Yeah.
And
there are no roots, man.
I feel like the roots are still there, but it's like...
Okay, let me ask you this. If you are to go back and actually try to understand the roots of your culture, where do you start? You have to start by learning the language first, So you go back and learn Kikamba, right?
You have to go to the home city.
You go to Machakos, so you go deep into the Kamba country, right?
Yeah.
Now going there, how many people there are old enough to talk to you about life prior to the coming of the white man?
Very few.
Exactly, right?
Mm.
So it's like your roots, maybe they're not gone, but they're dying. So if you're going to make that move, make it now, you know? You know what I mean?
No, you do have a good point. And then
Yeah.
it's like a lot of our cultural history was never recorded down. Or the ones that were recorded down.
Man, they were
There
taken and
isn't,
burnt.
yeah, they were taken, but there's not a lot left. There wasn't
Yeah.
a lot that was recorded down. A lot of it was verbal.
It was
Recording.
oral history.
Yeah. And so when those people who are carrying that oral history die, our history dies with them.
Yeah, exactly. So our roots are dying, man. Our roots are dying. And I was listening to a podcast. It's a really good podcast, actually. It's called the Blind Boy Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's this Irish guy. He talks about mental health and Irish history and just some hot takes. Man, it's a really good podcast. Anyway, so there was one episode where they were talking about Irish history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Irish oral traditions. And they were saying in the past, there will be a guy in some Irish tribe in a tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whose job it was to listen to the stories and make songs out of them and sing those songs to the people of the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about Kenya. Maybe in Kenya there was someone who had a similar responsibility in different tribes, right?
Yeah.
But whoever those people were, we don't know about them anymore. Like where Oscar, a Kenyan, a Kalenjin, an Embu, has to guess that maybe that person existed. You know? We know nothing about our culture. Nothing. And we're talking about saving Kenya. How can you save what you know nothing about?
The famous quote of you need to, in order to know where you're going, you need to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Do we know where we're coming from, man? Do we know?
No, we don't.
Think about this. You know, like you're talking about Japan being westernized, right? But think about this. Japan has its core. So when Japan grows, they're not just trying to mimic the West.
Actually,
they know what to take from the West and what to ignore, right? But Kenya, when people talk about developing Kenya, the first thing everyone says is like, we can be like America, we can be as powerful and as like have nice things like America. That's what everyone says, right? It's just like we can be like them, right? That's what Kenyans do. Being good means being like them.
I will say something that's very sad, but
yeah,
I generally do believe it. We were turned into small people. This is not obviously like physically small people.
I know, yes. I know what you mean.
We were turned into small people because small people are easier to control. They're weak, right?
Yeah.
And the consequence of this is that now even our dreams are small.
Yeah. Like there's no way Kenya can become anything if we are the way we are right now, man. There's nothing for us to be because we don't know. Like you said, we don't know ourselves, man. We don't know ourselves. We don't know where we came from. We don't. And like when someone makes that point of, oh, go and learn your history. You know, people love making that point, you know? Especially when I talk to them about like what I'm telling you right now, like, hey, Kenya is going nowhere. People tell me go and learn your history. And I'm like, okay, well, then where should I start? You tell me. You seem to know.
You just have to go to, like you said, for me, it'll be going to Machakos and talk to people.
Exactly. But even the people who make such points, you know, like, do they actually know their history?
I don't know.
I think anyone, most people who are our age, right? Kenyans who are our age, don't know enough about their own history.
Yeah.
Actually,
even with the people who have the language on lockdown, like they can speak their own language. Even with them, you start to see like they're being cut away from their own roots.
Exactly.
Because how does the tribal language exist in a business landscape like Nairobi, where everyone is speaking English?
It can't exist because the language didn't evolve in such a place, you know.
Yeah, the language it's an inept tool in a landscape like that. Unfortunately, I don't like saying things like this, but it is an inept tool.
Yeah,
you don't need it.
Yeah.
The British schools, as weird as they sound, do make sense for the system that they're preparing you for.
Yes. I mean, it's a European system. It's a capitalist system. It's not. Yeah.
And our society is a capitalist society.
Exactly.
See, you are being prepared for something,
Yeah.
If you take your tribal language there, who are you going to talk to? Are you going to go talk to, like, I don't know, investors or these other business people in your tribal language?
So maybe the thing is, like, over time, over the evolution of cultures in the world, all cultures tended to interact with other cultures, and some cultures will absorb other cultures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that has been happening since the beginning of humanity, right?
Yep, civilization.
And,
yes.
Yes, and maybe the end goal of this thing is there to be just one global culture, not Kenyan culture, Japanese culture, just one global culture whereby we all speak the same language.
So
we all have the same deals.
What's the end goal of Kenya, Oscar? What's the end goal?
Maybe like Kenya is one of those cultures that's gonna be absorbed, like absorbed and vanishes. One of those cultures.
It pains my heart to hear things like this, Oscar. It does.
But this happens. It's not like Kenya is the first culture to be absorbed by another culture, right?
Yeah.
This happens all the time. So some cultures just vanish. They just vanish.
They die.
Like how many
cultures die?
How many cultures do we read about in history books that, like, oh fuck, what happened to them? Oh, they're gone. I mean, like, they were taken up by someone else.
Yeah. The answer, like, the predecessors, the successors still exist, basically.
Yeah, like
the bloodline still exists, but the culture itself is dead.
Yes, the culture is gone. So there's this movie called Hell or High Water. Have you watched this movie?
That sounds familiar.
It's a really good movie on Netflix, and there's one scene whereby there are two Texas Rangers, right, sitting next to each other. One of them is a white guy, and the other one is a Native American, right? And the Native American tells the white guy, like, the white guy likes poking fun at the Native American because he's a Native American, right? Just making fun of his race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, the Native American guy says, like, we've all been Native Americans. Even you white people, you were once Native Americans to someone else. And those people took your culture and forced you to submit. And right now, these people in America, white, black, everyone else, they are also Native Americans. But it's not the people who are taking their culture away from them. It's the banks.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's true. Like, some cultures just die out. Right now, it's not like Kenyan culture is dying out. It's Kalenjin culture. It's Kamba culture. It's Luo culture. It's starting in bits and pieces here and there, right?
Yeah. Like,
and maybe,
funny enough, like how the ice caps are melting, bits and pieces slowly fall into the ocean, melted away forever.
Exactly. And like, I remember when I was in high school, I read there's a tribe in Kenya called Iteso, right?
Iteso? What's that?
Iteso. It's like they live in like near Mount Elgon, in like near Rift Valley, right?
Okay.
And I was reading back then when I was in high school that at that point in time, there were only about 200 people in the world who speak that language. 200 people. That means it's dead. That culture is dead already. It's gone. It's finished.
Yeah, it's on a lifeline. Yeah. It's literally in like ICU right now.
Yeah. And now, so they say that's gone. Next, it's any other tribe with less than 50,000 people. That's next. Maybe Turkana is next. Maybe fucking Borana are next. I don't know. But everyone is losing. Everyone is dying. And maybe when all of these people die, now there's just going to be one Kenyan culture. We just speak English and Kiswahili, right? But then even this English and Kiswahili is going to be absorbed by a much larger culture, which is maybe the Chinese culture and the Chinese capitalism or communism. Because right now the youth, they've already been taken by American capitalism, which is fucking Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and all these things.
TikTok is Chinese. So yeah, you're right.
No, TikTok. I'm going to that. TikTok is the next step coming from China. And now China is building all over railways. They're opening shop all over Kenya. People are actually learning Mandarin in Kenya right now.
They're talking about putting it in schools. That has been a conversation. And I'm just like, the Chinese overlords have a hand in our nation now.
Like, how long is it going to be before they actually just take over everything? Whereby now, there's no more Kenyan culture. We're just like, what is it? A protectorate of the Chinese government,
Where
of course, this is an extreme case, but it can happen because cultures do die out. And from the way I'm looking at it, Kenya is one of those cultures that is being vetted right now for death. You know.
So when I said what's the end goal or what's the end game for you, just to quickly summarize the point, you just believe like we should accept the fate that our culture is dying and we might not necessarily be able to do anything about it, and just be able to adapt with whatever's coming. Was that what you were trying to say?
Only those who can adapt survive. That's what I say. That's what I think. If you can't adapt, you're dead.
Which was actually the original point what's his name was trying to push, Charles Darwin, with the survival of the fittest. It was people who can better adapt to change. I just don't like the way it was misconstrued and the misconception of it. It was just like people literally thought it was physical strength. The survival of the fittest means that you have to be the strongest person in the room, and it's like not. Strength isn't necessarily a determinant when it comes to surviving, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Jason, we call it quit.
We should just adapt, huh?
Yeah, we adapt.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. It's been 1 hour. It's been a very interesting talk. I was thinking a lot about some of the things you were saying. You had some interesting points, Oscar. I wonder.
I always do.
Yeah. Also, you were talking about turning your the women that you like being turning their faces into toilet seats. So there was that too.
I didn't say that.
We all know what you're trying to say there. It's fine. It's okay. And on that note, goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for the listen. Bye bye.
Bye bye.